Yeah, that one's big right now too. Like I'm seeing a lot of more Latino creators on my For You page, so that's so nice. But yeah, I think representation is so important. It doesn't even have to be in the like fashion space. It could be
Hmm.
anything
I
like
yeah.
lifestyle, anything. But I just think it's important because you just get more inspiration by women who do look like you, you know? It's like
Yeah.
it's not something that you need to have, but it's nice. It's like almost like if you
It's
think about your favorite movie or a novela, right? Like if you
yeah.
see somebody that looks like you, it's like more inspiring.
That's so true. I want
If you can like learn how to spend time with yourself in like little spurts, it'll help
to.
you in general because like it kind of like going to the movies by yourself. I don't know, like that was such a weird thing for a lot of people, but like for me, I would go to the movies all the time by myself. Like I'm just
Really?
gonna watch a movie, right? Or like a lot of people have anxiety with like having dinner by themselves, like going out to eat
Mm,
and like sitting in a restaurant by themselves because
yeah.
people are like, oh my gosh, I'm afraid that people are gonna think I'm a loner or whatever. And it's like, who cares? Like, that's your time. Eat your
Mm.
food at your own pace. Like, and also like when I went to Disneyland, like I used to go to Disneyland by myself because
Oh,
it's
wow.
like, not a lot of people could go with me or like my coworkers were working or whatever. And I was like, I
Mm,
want to go on that new ride or I want to go taste that thing. Like you just spend time with yourself and your thoughts. And it's like really beautiful. And also like traveling by yourself. I haven't
mhm,
had a lot of time traveling by myself. That's another thing I want to try to do, especially now that I have like my new job.
mhm,
But traveling by yourself, I think is so important, especially if you're like and if you're like not so like out there and like you're not so like you don't like talking to people a lot or like you don't put yourself out there. I feel like
mhm,
traveling makes you do that because you're alone. So like if you go stay in hostels, like that's the perfect place to like meet people where
mhm.
you can be like, oh hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're going there, can I join you? Or like, you want to go get food? Or I heard this place is cool. Or
Mm,
and that's how you like open up and meet people and have those experiences and put yourself like out of that box.
yeah.
And like that is so important. I think that's so important to like have those moments.
Yeah.
I feel like you start to believe like, oh, like I'm capable. I can do these things. Like
Yeah.
I'm not this weak person. Like I don't need people. Like I I think that's like really beautiful. And if you can do that, like yeah, you'll grow as a person in general.
No, this hustle boss energy, this
Mm-mm.
hustle boss mentality, boss girl mentality does not work for me. This is the
Yeah.
new empowered, thriving boss girl energy that
Mhm,
we're going for, where we outsource and we like make sure to put our health before our business.
mhm. Before we end, I want to ask, like, through this whole journey, what are like the top, you can do as many as you want, but like, let's say like the top three things that have happened that you were like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening to me. Because like sometimes we tend to forget our growth and like the experiences that we never had before, but like now it's like the normal thing. So I
Yeah.
don't know, like to give people like the idea, like, oh, like this happened to me, and like if you go do what you want to do, like you're gonna have those opportunities as well. So for you, what were some of
Yeah.
those things?
So one of the things is that and it wasn't all, it was based on like my personal story, but Our Wealth Matters was, intertwined in there because it's part of my story. Got featured in an article in the New York Times, and I would have never met the writer if I wasn't in the personal finance space. So I was featured in the New York Times. That was super awesome. I was just like, what? And like, I bought the newspaper and I have it, and I'm trying to like blow it up and put it somewhere to remind me of like, you did this shit.
Yeah.
Then the other thing was I was gonna go to a personal finance conference. Like it's a bunch of personal finance content creators, they
Mhm.
come, but you can also apply to be a speaker.
Mhm.
And I was like, I'm a good public speaker. Like people need to know about this. Like, I don't know, like we'll put it in. So like I try to write up a really good topic, and I got selected to go. And that meant that I could upgrade my ticket to do more things at the event. And then I think I was gonna get a refund for the beginning price that I had paid.
Oh
So I was
wow.
like, oh, and oh my gosh, that trip was so expensive between flights and the hotel that we were staying at. And
Oh,
I was just like, okay, I at least saved like the cost of the ticket, right? And
mm,
um I got to meet people that were content creators that I had known, but like I
mm.
now got to meet them in
In
person,
person.
and then I got to meet other people that I hadn't met and got become connected with other creators. So that
Mm.
was really great. And then the third one is the most recent one where I just got my first paid collaboration, which is with a really big, the sponsor is a really big company. And I'm just like super excited because I was like, I know that company. Like they're big in the personal finance, but like they have a big role in finance, in personal finance in general. And I'm just like, so
Oh, that's so
I was like,
awesome.
and I knew I got paid, and I'm like, maybe I could have gotten paid more, but I was like, it's my first one, and
That's
it's like
a
being sponsored by a big company, so yay.
And we're like, man, like, I don't know, like, because the world tells us we need to have a bunch of friends, and like, a bunch of friends is at least like 25 plus people, right?
Holy crap.
That are in your life, right? Like that's in my head what a lot of friends means. But really, a lot of friends to me is I want to have a solid like 3 people that I love and adore, and that's it. Right? My energy is sacred to me, and I don't want to just give that out to whoever. And so I've just realized that I have opinions. Like I love to be passionate about topics. I love to show up to a room and have conversations with people that actually matter. Like, I'm sorry, but some people I just feel like, are there brain cells in there? You know, that's so savage. But literally, I'm just like, damn, like, how is it that you don't have opinions? And so I want to be surrounded by people that are opinionated, that are driven. And so now I'm like, okay, in order for me to weed out the people that I don't want in my life, I have to be myself. And if my energy scares you, then thank you, goodbye.
Oh yeah, so another experience that really shaped me is kind of showing my mom like this is what I'm proud of, you know? Because for the longest time my mom has been super against cussing, and so I was very nervous for her to see like everything is like, oh, pendeja this, chingona this, you know, like so it was really just a way again of just me saying like I have nothing to be ashamed of, like, you know. So I remember she came over to help me package, and I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to get a scolding, you know?
So she didn't know that you had the okay,
Yeah,
the
I
rights.
hadn't told her, and in fact, I was actively trying to hide it from her. Like whenever she would come over, I'd be like, okay, the sweaters, or only show the cutesy ones, you know? And so when she came over with my dad, because initially it was just gonna be my dad helping me package my sweaters. And so when she came over, I got so nervous. I was like, she's gonna read them right away. And I was like, maybe no trajo sus lentes. Like, she won't be able to read. But it actually helped that my dad was there, because he was like, holding him up. He's like, oh yeah, this is funny. Like, look, wife, you know? So I feel like a lot of this year is just me like facing things head on, kind of like how I initially faced things when I first became a mother. Like, no, now it's time to face things that I'm afraid of maybe people perceiving about me. And not just with like the public, but people in my life that I care about and that I love, and that maybe I've molded myself to be different in front of, and kind of just stop doing that, you know, because that takes effort, and that takes so like it's exhausting to be someone else around certain people. So I'm learning to, you know, fully embrace myself, and that was like the catalyst, you know. That experience with my mom was a catalyst of like, maybe the reaction I think I'm gonna get is not what I'm gonna get, you know, like the reaction I'm afraid. Yeah,
it goes back to expectations, like what from which lens are you actually like looking at it from. Yeah, that's
exactly.
Awesome.
So yeah, so I thought I was gonna get one reaction, and ni pasó. I'm like, all that anxiety, all that hiding, all that was for nothing, you know, like. So I think finally I'm at this point where I'm like, you know, again, like I said, proud of what I'm doing, proud of who I am, proud of what I've accomplished, and now it's time to, you know, not let anyone stop me from being myself and being authentic, you know.
What were your top experiences through this whole journey in Sin Título, and then like in your personal life as well, if you have any? I'm pretty sure you do, but like your top experiences that you had, like achievements, wins, like small or big, any of them.
We are an online store. However, we got an opportunity to do a pop-up like in a physical location for 2 months. So when we
Mm.
opened that up, that was nice to have a home away from home for Sin Titulo. Our first event, it was it was one of the first events after COVID. I
Mm.
remember that. And we got like over 100 RSVPs in this space.
Oh.
I think only the space was not allowing 100 people. And we had a line. We had a
Oh, wow.
line, and it was hailing or snowing, one of the two. And people were waiting in line.
Wow.
I came outside and I gave people shots, like tequila shots, to say thank you for being in line. So that was one of our earlier accomplishments.
Mm.
Let me think, what else? Our Sin Titulo Cinco de Mayo first mental health discussion was really nice because it was a full fruition of what I've been working on for months.
Mm.
We've gotten a scholarship with Soho House in terms of like working on projects, and that project was actually the Cinco de Mayo event. So having resources like corporate resources has really helped elevate and really speed up our process on what we want to do. Personally, I always go back to like the traveling aspect, but like Peru was one of the countries that I've wanted to go to since I was young.
Mm.
I was always gravitated towards like the indigenous fabric and the colorfulness, and I was like, I don't even know like any Peruvians or about Peru itself, but it just looks so beautiful, and just like being there in person and experiencing the natural beauty of like the Andes Mountains and alpacas just walking around like on the street, and the indigenous ties too of like in school they learn the indigenous language and how they speak on the knowledge aspect of like their ancestors is just a beautiful thing. Whereas like in Mexico sometimes I can get lost generation from generation just because of colonizers
That's not
wanting
what I
to
was
wash it
thinking.
out. But that was refreshing to see. Personally, I also, I don't even know if you know this, but I also work like a 9 to 5
Oh, yeah, I
marketing
saw it.
job.
Mark.
And I think one of my accomplishments, yes, was starting off in that, but then also like utilizing my voice to advocate for when things aren't right. So having to go through the process of standing up for myself and being like, this is a toxic work environment is something that I recently had to go through. And although it was like it was tough to go through and go through repeating my story and these examples of like microaggressions or micromanaging or whatever it may be, of like, this isn't healthy. And just because you pay me doesn't mean that you deserve to treat me in X, Y, and Z format. So really just being on the other side of like being in a healthier work environment is tough to do, but I'm glad that I did it.
En toda tu trayectoria de empezar ese negocio y a lo mejor en tu vida personal, cuáles han sido esos logros que si Maribel de hace 5 o 10 años no se hubiera imaginado que lo ha logrado?
Fue estar en un artículo del New York Times, a donde se mencionó el trabajo que hago. Y yo digo, ¿qué? Ah, ya lo imprimí, nomás no lo he colgado, no sé si se vaya a ver. A ver. Le dije a mi mamá, vamos a la oficina, pero no menciona por nombre nada de lo que, no se va a ver.
Oh,
Pero
pues
ya
está
lo hice en grande, no se ve. Voy a tener que quitar el blur, pero bueno, es el artículo del New York Times, ya lo hice en grande. Y digo, yo nunca hubiera pensado que así hubiera.
Wow. Si me puedes mandar una foto para que lo pueda poner, a lo mejor acá en
Sí,
el
o
video.
sí,
Para
a
las
ver.
personas que están viendo.
No puedo cambiar el background now, ¿sí?
No sé, honestamente.
Oh, ya, creo que sí.
Sí, para las personas que nos están viendo, nos está enseñando el newspaper, se puede decir.
El artículo
El
que
artículo.
salió en del New York Times, y en la foto salió mi mamá. Así
Oh.
que le dije, oh, sí va a venir van a hacer un artículo sobre mí y esto y el otro, y no siempre se meten las cosas de Our Wealth Matters, pero ese
Ujú.
día pues se vistió y se sentó afuerita y digo, no, este era blanco en maña, ella sabía lo que iba.
Ujú. Oh, qué lindo. Hay otras cosas que también te han pasado.
¿No te acuerdas que había mencionado la otra vez?
Tus pagas de brand membership, like paid membership. No, not paid membership. Brand partnership
Ah,
que
ok.
te
No sabía
pagan.
si lo había mencionado o no, porque como pasó tiempo, eso agarré uno de los primeros paid collaboration, o sea que
Mm,
tú colaboras con otro creador o colaboras con una compañía y te pagan por esa colaboración.
ujú,
Y la colaboración fue específicamente para incrementar el conocimiento e incrementar la curiosidad de la comunidad latina para que aprendieran finanzas personales. Y ahora ya salió el video en inglés y en
ujú,
español y tuvo muy buen engagement.
ujú.
O sea, mucha gente sí lo
Lo
vio
vio.
y les encantó a los
Patronos, sí.
patrocinadores
Mm,
y a la cuenta con quien colaboré. Así que digo, oh, ya, o sea, ya por fin me pagaron por algo del trabajo que estoy haciendo. Así que eso fue exciting. Jesus.
sí. Y eso es
¿Cómo
lo que
se llama? Exciting.
um,
Me recuerda esa escena cuando Selena
emocionalmente.
tampoco sabía cómo decir esta palabra.
Creo que es emocionante.
Sí,
Sí,
sí, fue muy emocionante. Digo, oh my
emocionante.
gosh, me van a pagar.
Sí, y eso es lo que hablamos también en el otro episodio donde tú ya empezaste como esto y mencionaste como, like, oh, si me pagaron bien o no, pero es como tú ya en el futuro ya tienes esto, es como ya puedes como, ah,
Usar esto como,
us-
oh, he trabajado con esta
ujú,
compañía. Bueno, ahora que ya pasó la colaboración, ya
ujú,
puedo decir, los patrocinadores fueron Experian, que son uno de
mm,
los 3 burós grandes en Estados Unidos, a donde uno
mm,
puede chequear su estatus de crédito. Y me
mm,
dijeron, con la cuenta con la que estaba trabajando, me dijeron, no tienes que mencionar nuestro nombre, nomás vamos a estar en la descripción,
mm,
pero ni tienes que mencionar nuestro nombre, no tienes que hacer resumen del artículo, nomás te vamos a dar unos links para artículos y tú nomás sacas un concepto de allí y no nos tienes
mm.
que poner watermark, nada. Y yo digo,
Oh,
no, pues
wow.
está bien. Y solo el video era sobre cómo puedes los 3 pasos para hacer dinero mientras que duermes sin tener que arriesgar tu dinero. Y
Mm,
hablé sobre las cuentas de alto rendimiento de ahorros, de cual hablamos en este episodio también, pero
sí.
si lo quieren ir a ver, vayan a verlo, está en inglés y en español. Y igual, y no, me dijeron, no tienes que vender nada, nada, no tienes que
So it's
puchar ni
meant.
siquiera nuestro
Mhm.
producto. Así que yo, no,
Oh,
pues está
wow.
bien.
It's so crazy to kind of think about one just over my different career paths over the last like decade and everything I've accomplished thus far. Because we came and I really try to, stay humble about this and remember I'll never forget like, where we came from and immigrating from Peru and living in a house when I was 6 years old with all my family members, including my aunts and uncles. Like we lived in a house in a 3-bedroom house with, I would say, probably like 15 people. And that's, and I mean, thankfully, my family and I are so, so very close. But, it was definitely like those days were building us up to and setting that foundation to our work ethic and to
Mhm.
and motivating us to like being able to get what we have today. So I think I feel like one of my biggest accomplishments, one is kind of just my inner work and the confidence that I have built over time. I feel like that I really need to acknowledge kind of and celebrate myself in that sense because like I said, not only was I just so shy, but um, I think my shyness just really stemmed from not knowing not knowing my identity, like not really being able to I was trying to identify as I was obviously I was Latina. I'm Latina. I was born in Peru and I came here to the United States when I was 6 years old. But when I came to the United States and I joined second grade, I had been trying to adapt to a completely new lifestyle and trying to fit into this new society and this new world and this new language.
Mm.
And that really was just such a big experience that I'll never ever forget, because I remember my brothers and I, we would go into different stores and we would hear people speak a language, but we didn't know what it was. But we wanted to fit in. So we would speak our own language, and it was literally just like, it wasn't a language. It was just blabbing things and speaking gibberish. That's what we were speaking gibberish. But we were speaking gibberish because we thought we were fitting into other people speaking a different language. And yeah, and it was just very much this experience of trying to figure out who I really am as a Latina immigrant, and then also, you know, adapting to culture and society here. And so I feel like that really took a toll on my confidence, and that really took a toll on me be able to express myself and being myself in front of people. And so I would always kind of be in the background and not want to be the center of attention, and or I would be scared to answer questions even in class because am I going to say the right thing? So that really took a toll on myself. But now, having the confidence that I do now, it's honestly like 10-year-old me would be so proud of me. Like, who are you? Like, oh my God, go hide behind the curtain. But I think that would be one of my biggest things.
Top achievements. So I'm gonna talk about my business. So when I started my business, I think I was just kind of like, let's see what like I kind of wanted to work with everyone, if I'm being honest, but now I'm being very selective. Like, I don't work with everyone. And so, and when I said I don't work with anyone, I don't mean like mujeres, right? I mean like in corporations. Like, I get hit with pitches all the time. Like, hey, can you make this post on your Instagram, or can you add this announcement on your podcast, and we're gonna pay you X, Y, and Z. And to me, I don't care how much you pay me. I don't care if you want to pay me $10,000 for an Instagram post, right? Like, I'm not gonna take it if it doesn't serve my community, and if it doesn't serve the mujeres that I want to help. I don't care if you're Tony Robbins. I'm not gonna do it. And that has been one of the most satisfying things in my business, because when you are building wealth, when you are, when you're financially secure, when you're financially at peace, you don't let a dollar figure distract you from, oh wow, one post is gonna pay me 10,000, let's do it, right? Like, you don't do that. You actually get to say, no, thank you. Your business doesn't align with my vision and my mission and my community, so no. And so that to me has given me the power that I feel like was taken away from me when I was in corporate America, when my boss used to tell me, like, you could only make so much, right? Yeah. And now I get to be like, well, you only get to do my business with me if your values align with my company values. So that's number one. And then number two, I manifested a huge, what I think is a huge speaking opportunity with another company that is all about helping Latinas. And I've been working on just manifesting, making it happen. And it actually came through, it was in my inbox this year, like the invitation for me to speak. And that just shows that when you don't make everything transactional, things come to you. If you are listening to this podcast and you felt inspired, whether Andrea just give you the chills or I give you the chills, like, that is a sign that you are ready to build generational wealth. It's not about just ditching your debt. It's not just about, launching your business idea. It's about generational wealth, because mujeres, Latinas, people of color can and should be thinking about creating wealth, because we are not just the help. We are the new investors, and we are the new and future millionaires.
I've had a really, honestly, like, I've had a really cool life. So, like, I'm really happy. I'm 30, and I'm really proud of my life and how it's happened and how my community is like so curated and like, but like not in a fake way, in like a very purposeful way.
Mm.
You know, so for example, if I hadn't stayed in Tucson in Arizona where I went to college, and that was not where I wanted to go. I wanted to go out of state, you know, but I stayed there, and because I already had a network there, I already had so many connections, I was able to stack my resume with experience because they already knew me. And so long story short, that's why as soon as I graduated, I got a job teaching at an international school in Ecuador. So I was
wow.
teaching music at a really, really high level. Like international schools are known for being some of the best pedagogical areas that you can be in. And so I'm 22. My first 2 years of teaching, I was with incredible teachers, like
Wow.
who are never settled and who always wanted something better and
Mm.
better and better and better, right? Then like fast forward, if I hadn't done that, I hadn't met Luz, I wouldn't have gotten married, I wouldn't have ended up in LA opening a school. Like I went from having 0 instruments, 0 inventory to now I have like a $250,000 inventory.
Wow.
And that was the thing, like I figured out how to start a music program from having nothing for the entire first semester. Like I had nothing.
Wow.
How do you teach band and orchestra without that, right? And again, like what I was developing there is like buy-in. Like I can get students, I can get which teenagers, by the way, love them, but they're hard to convince to do things. So I can get teenagers to buy into something that they wouldn't normally do. I can get like parents, like stakeholders involved. I've written and won grant applications, you know? But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have, if I hadn't moved to LA and I hadn't started teaching in Maywood, I would not realize the huge need that I had for like for RPF, for realistic personal finance within this community specifically. If I hadn't done that, probably wouldn't have gotten into Columbia. If I hadn't gotten into Columbia, then I wouldn't have debt. If I hadn't had debt, then I wouldn't have need to actually get myself educated. And right. And then if I hadn't gone to Columbia, like I probably wouldn't have won a Fulbright. And my Fulbright is what sent me to Ghana. And like Ghana, I started to deal with more like more identity-based conversation. Like it's just is crazy how life works in this way, you know? And it's just such a beautiful, chaotic thing, you know?
Yeah, wait, I didn't hear the last part. Sorry.
It's a beautiful mess. That's it.
Yeah, and a lot of like the spiritual stuff or personal development. It's you shouldn't see a specific situation as good or bad, because like you said, like that, it's not like people will say, oh, it's bad, but it wouldn't have taken you to where you are now, like learning about all this stuff. So yeah, don't judge the. I think there's a quote about that. I'm not sure, but yeah, don't judge the situation. At the end, do you have any others like maybe like your first big month with RPF or
this month we're in it right now. this week yeah, like I mentioned, I had to put on like a vacation response automatic, like email, and it doesn't say that I'm on vacation. It's just like, you know, you can like template it where it was like, hey, if you're interested in coaching, this is our Calendly, this is more about what we do, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you probably got it if you emailed me. I was getting so many emails that I could not get to them time. And most of them were like, I want to do a coaching session. So I was like, cool, here's your Calendly. There we go. Yeah, it's just 3x clients in like 2 weeks. That's crazy. Like that's a crazy amount of growth. And I went from 4,300 followers to like 12.1-ish now, you know? Again, the same amount of time off of one video. And in 1 week, the span of 1 week, I had an interview with Huffington Post, HuffPost, and an article that's coming out tomorrow. I had a creator brunch that was like yesterday, like invited to, and like she invited me to be like on her advisory board as like the financial expert. Yeah. And then, you know, I had a pod like you, like with podcasts. It's like, it's cool. It's so amazing to feel like what I'm doing matters for people, because I felt it in here. But I'm seeing it's like the fruits of my labor, I guess, a little bit more, you know? I'm just excited for everything this is just the beginning.
I think like honestly, I feel like you can be anything you want to be, for real. Like I feel like my Latinx experience, my personal experience, I was kind of never told that. Not like in a really like in a way that made me believe it. Like I heard it from like some of my tias or like cousins, but like I never was really told that in a way that I believed it. And I feel like other communities, like when they tell their, you know, they're really good at telling their kids and like their communities that they can do whatever they want. And I honestly do feel like that. I feel like if you put like your mind to something, you can get it done. And like if you feel like you don't deserve a seat at the table, we all do. Like I look forward to the day that like I'm in an engineering meeting and like about a project and like there's more people of color. Like I look forward to that day that I come in and there's like another Latina at the table, you know? And I just feel like the the feeling of que no los merecemos is something that is so ingrained in us because people have always told us we can't do it. Like we can't do anything, you know, like we can't break those those generational curses, or we can't break the glass ceiling, or we can't break, you know, like you're just not meant to be here. So I think my advice or like my pep talk is like you really can do anything you set your mind to if you work hard enough for it. Like I believe that. I really truly believe that.
Que tiene que pensar que si realmente quieres esta vida, o sea, la vida que estás viviendo, esa vida miserable que te tiene atada, ¿de verdad quieres esa vida toda tu vida? Yo me la he preguntado muchas veces y digo, no, ¿qué necesitas entonces para cambiar? Si no puedes con 2, 3, 4 cosas, empieza con una. Por ejemplo, el leer, para nosotros como latinos, el leer es un trauma. O sea, yo me dormía cuando quería yo leer. Al principio, cuando yo quería leer, iba yo 3, 4 páginas y ya estaba yo cabeceando. Entonces, 10 minutos de lectura o 5 páginas, las que aguantes. No te esfuerces tanto, no necesitas. Poco a poco, esto es paso a paso.
Eso va como al 1%.
No, y se vuelve un hábito. Vuelve un hábito algo que no te guste. Esa es otra creencia limitante. El pensar que todas las cosas que tienes que hacer es por gusto, por pasión. No. Yo he aprendido que se tienen que hacer las cosas por necesidad. O sea, tienes que empezar a hacer las cosas o hacer algunas cosas por necesidad para llegar a tu pasión. Por ejemplo, una de mis cosas de algo que yo aprendí es el manejar. A mí no me gusta manejar un carro, o sea, yo nunca me imaginé manejando un carro. Y ahora que lo hago, digo, wow,
Es súper logro.
Es increíble que a mi edad yo haya aprendido a manejar. Y es algo, que si yo hubiera yo estado de necia, es que a mí no me gusta manejar. Eso es una limitación y es algo que me limitaría para mi progreso de progreso personal y mi progreso profesional. Imagínate, el inglés es que no me gusta aprender, pero ni siquiera lo has intentado. Muchas personas ni siquiera lo intentan.
Estrategias correctas.
O las estrategias, porque en la escuela no
enseñan de una manera.
No te enseñan como deberían. O sea, las escuelas como que te limitan también. Yo me di cuenta de eso, porque yo decía, tantos años yendo a la escuela y yo no sé nada.
10 años.
pero no es que no sepas, porque yo sé leer, sé escribir, entendía yo, pero yo decía, ¿por qué no entiendo a la gente cuando habla? ¿Por qué? Porque no estaba yo, como tú dices, llevando la estrategia correcta. Entonces, ahora lo entiendo y lo estoy llevando a cabo. Todo eso, o sea, tiene uno que buscar maneras de cómo hacer las cosas. No todo es tan difícil como parece, y mucho menos imposible. No hay nada imposible, ni la muerte, imagínate. El primero, cambiar mi mentalidad. El cambiar la mentalidad es increíble porque te abren las puertas a un mundo bien diferente al que está uno acostumbrado. El segundo es aventarme con todo y mi miedo, a hacer cosas que no pensaba yo, por ejemplo, las clases de costura, mi viaje a Texas, el manejar y ahora empezar un negocio. Todo eso es para mí logros grandes, grandes, aunque para otros sean pequeños, ¿verdad? Pero para mí son grandes. Mi familia, definitivamente el cambio ha hecho un cambio en mi familia, no nada más en mí. El esfuerzo, la dedicación y todo el empeño que yo he puesto en mi persona se ha reflejado en mi familia, en mis hijos, en mi esposo, incluso, porque somos somos cabeza dura y es bien bonito cuando tú te das cuenta que puedes cambiar a las personas sin tener que obligarlas, sin tener que jalarlas, estarles diciendo. Con el simple hecho de que ellos te vean, ya estás haciendo el cambio. Entonces, es bien, bien bonito todo eso. La familia para mí siempre ha sido bien importante y al hacer el cambio para mí y que se refleje en mi familia es un logro que creo que es el más grande de todos, definitivamente.
Something really beautiful that someone shared with me one time and it really opened me up is that like it's a sad reality, but it's a real reality. It helps you work towards the things you want. But like a lot of these spaces were never carved out for people like us. A lot of these jobs and careers were never like, we're the new generation to where like we get to become the face of these like positions that like our families and other generations and other people were never able to fill. Like they were genuinely like created for like white working American people. And so as the years have progressed, those people have had to conform. So these roles have had to become more diverse. Like diversity hires are a real thing. Like being proud of where you come from is now a valuable marketing tool. Like being not white is like popular, and it's like it's really shitty to say, but it's just reality is that like now people want people with curly hair. Now people want people with bodies that are more curvier. Now people want different faces for brands and different celebrities that aren't white and don't have like white privilege. Like now is the time that we are valued, appreciated, and maybe there are still things that are corrupt because it's the world and that's just how life is, but there is space for us. And so if there was ever a time to do the things that you love, it is now, because now people are like, we want the Mexican American, we want the girl from Honduras, like we want the girl from Guatemala, whoever, like Dominican Republic, like we want more Latino artists, like we want more creatives, like they want more however you identify, but really like I know they're looking for like more female music directors, like more people in production, like whoever it is, obviously however you identify is fine, but it's like it's just that idea that it has become so open. It has become so accepting, and because there have been people before us that have paved the way for many years, they've created smaller communities and have fought fights for us that like younger generations are able to like truly enjoy. And like the more people join, the more people pursue their passions, you're paving the way for like future generations, and you're going to make it 10 times easier for the other like Mexican American or Puerto Rican or Dominican kids later on and the years to come. But it's so beautiful because there is space. The space is welcome. There are a lot of people advocating for people like us now, and a lot of these companies have had to conform because they've been canceled or they've been called out, and that's just the reality. A lot of people aren't going to take it anymore. And so if there was ever a time to do everything you love, it is now, because we have the education, we have the resources. I mean, even if you don't have anyone in your family or friends or close proximity to guide you, there is information out there that is already set up for you to find. You just need to be curious. Like you need to be excited and motivated and, give yourself the chance. I think a lot of people, like, because they come from small towns or because they've never seen anyone do it, there's that natural fear. So I think if you can push past the fear and say like, I deserve this, I am worthy of this, and change your mindset of how like you get to experience life. Like it's your opportunity to get the most out of life. Like no one else is going to get the quality of life for you. You have to do that for yourself. Like if you see something and you want it, like you have the opportunity to do it. There are tools available to you. You just have to like desire it for yourself. And if that means like taking a month to say like, okay, maybe those things feel really big, I'm gonna just empower myself. Like I am worthy to go on a walk. I am worthy to wake up and be excited about my day. Like I'm worthy to have people in my life that truly value and cherish me and encourage and build me. And if that's like your first step, do that. And then as time progresses, like you're like, no, I deserve to have a higher pay. So I'm gonna quit my job and go get another job because like I deserve that. I'm a hard worker. Or like, I don't know, I want to make music, but I don't know what to do. Okay, I'm gonna watch YouTube videos. I'm gonna buy some equipment. I'm gonna figure things out. I'm gonna like see who's in my local community and who would be down to like, you know, teach me or work with me, or even like take a piano class from like an old lady, like, you know, like you just have to really have to give yourself a chance. I think that's the one thing I've learned is that like you don't want to be, you know, years down the road and be like, dang, I wish I would have done that, you know. And I think you can do anything at any age. I feel like now is like so encouraging of, you know, that idea that like you don't have to be a specific age to do something. Like I think as long as you have that inner self-talk and that inner positivity and that excitement, like you deserve it, go after it. And like no one can tell you different because there have been other people who have been in your shoes so many times before. So yeah, I think that's how I feel about that.
And I get this question and I always have the same answer, and it's so cheesy because I work at Nike. But literally just do it. Because when I was a freshman in college, I wanted to be on YouTube and everything. I was so nervous that like the other girls in the dorm would make fun of me, but I wanted to do a dorm tour so bad. And I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done it. But it was one of those things that when I started content creation, I was like, it was during a pandemic and I was just like, you know what, like F this, I'm gonna do it. Like I don't care what people think about me. And so it was one of those things where I was like, okay, I just have to do it. Like I won't know until I try. And same with the podcast, you know, like my podcast doesn't get that many views at all, but every time that I put out an episode, I'm like, let's just do it. And like, who knows, like maybe it'll help one person, you know? And then and we can go over, it's fine. But what was I gonna say? Oh dang it, there was something to say. Oh right. Also feeling like I don't know if this really relates to what you asked me, but before I even like did any of those speaking events or my podcast, I never felt like I was worthy enough, if that makes sense. Like, cause I was like, oh, who's gonna want to hear my story? Like, no way. But ever since like sharing my story and starting the podcast, like, you know, it's had really good reaction and response. So it's one of those things where like if you don't feel worthy or you don't feel like you're enough to start doing what you want to do, you most definitely are, but you just literally have to do it.
Pues yo les daría el consejo que se enfoquen a lo que quieren y que realicen lo que quieren. Porque tampoco les puedo decir, háganlo si no les gusta. Es como les voy a repetir, es como a mí me decía mi suegra, vende chalupas, y le decía yo que no. Ya cuando vi la realidad de que sí vendía y que sí se le ganaba, fue cuando yo me enfoqué más a la chalupa. La comida también se le gana. Cualquier negocio se le gana, es echándole ganas, enfocarse a ello y tenerle fe y pedirle a Dios primero, que es el único que nos apoye en todo. Y que sí, de que se puede salir adelante.
There's so much growth in being uncomfortable. I have had my fair share of projects that ended up so awful, but they're like, you have to get past the bad stuff to get to the good stuff, like regardless of what you're doing. So like when I was a videographer, like I've made some horrible videos where I'm like, I cannot believe I charged somebody like money for this. Even websites, like now I'm like happy with everything I make, but I've definitely like, don't be discouraged if like it's not amazing, you know, right away, because it's not going to be amazing, you know, like when you're first getting started. It's just like a natural part of the process, and the faster that you can get through the bad, the faster that you can get to the good. And I'd say like advice for getting started, really tap into your local community, like wherever you are, find the small businesses and work with them. Entrepreneurs love working with entrepreneurs. So absolutely, yeah, I've definitely we all like want to support each other because all of us are like, you know, defying the odds and not having a normal job and like doing it on our own. So it's like we all want to like support this community of business owners. So definitely like go to other business owners, go to those events where it could be like, I go to an event here in Omaha that I found where it's like women and entrepreneurs, and I got to find really cool clients here. I got clients out of just going to those events and networking. So just put yourself out there, talk to people, offer to do things for free if you're just getting started, and then, you know, start to charge slowly. And you're so capable of doing everything you absolutely want to do. Please do not limit yourself just because of like what we're told to do, or that there's a specific path that you have to follow. Like, regardless of where you are, there's so much room for you to like make it your own and just like make it fit to you. So sending you all love. And you got this. You got
Life is short, okay? It seems like you have so much time on this world, but it's a really short amount of time. And take in every single moment that you have, because you have family, you have friends, you have yourself, and be in the moment and take in every single little thing that you have. Because like I said, life is beautiful. And even if some days are bad and some days are better than others, the good weighs over the bad. But yeah, my advice is just think about those good days and take in the good days, and then when you're having a bad day, try to make it a better day. I mean, that's what I do. I like to when I'm having a bad morning, sometimes I wake up and I'm just like, this is going to be a bad morning. I already feel it. I can feel that the morning's going to be bad. And I try to change my mindset before I start to have that negative mindset, because I don't want to make my day any worse than it already was that same morning. So just take in life, take in the moment, and be in the moment, because if you are in the past and if you're in the future, that's when things get a little bit messy.
Know that you deserve it, and keep telling yourself every single day, like, merezco esto, merezco this and that, merezco an amazing life, I merezco gozar mi vida más, merezco comer comida deliciosa, merezco viajar, merezco, like, all these things, where, because thought work is kind of like repetition, you start believing it. Even though it's not like there, or even doing the opposite, like start taking action, so that, or simultaneously start taking action, so you start believing like, oh, because I did this and my thought is aligned, then it's true, you know. So it's a lot of mindset work, a lot of action, taking actions. It's not just think, it's also act. So just a lot. Maybe I could talk about this in another podcast episode, the things that I've learned, or I have some ideas that I have. So I'll stop talking. I'll stop talking for now. So just know que te lo mereces, and just keep repeating that to yourself.
The best thing they could do, and this is straight from like that, you know, pioneering wizard Louise Hay. The best thing they can do is sit in front of a mirror and just be with themselves, and just start with silence. And eventually they can start adding words like hi and I love you. But that might take time. She has a book called Mirror Work.
All right.
I totally bite off of it and have a zone for, you know, self-love. But her book, it's like $9. It's called Mirror Work. There is no guru, there is no person in the world who does not use mirror work in their process.
Okay.
Even if they don't mention a mirror, someone will always have affirmations, or they'll always have words. But Louise Hay's mirror work is, you know, $9.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the guts, if you don't have the $9, that's fine. Just sit in the mirror. Just sit with yourself, and sit with yourself, read a book, read kind words. If you don't have the guts to say them out loud yet. Read kind words, and then look at yourself for a few minutes, and you will literally see your face change.
Yeah, because it's
And
found
those
something.
affirmations when you're in luteal phase, also known as queen. Don't do
That's
it.
queen. That's the second
Third.
phase? Third phase?
Yeah,
Why
it's
why
the one.
why is
Huh?
that? Why is that? Why not during the third phase?
Because queen is all about stating the whole truth, the ugly truth, and sometimes she can be quite disparaging. Like if you say something like, I am capable of making $1 million this year. And you like say that affirmation, like, I am going to make $1 million this year. I can do this. Then Queen's gonna go, okay, let's just look at your numbers for a minute, because last month was a 5K month. So I don't see that realistically happening. Now, if you want to make a plan for how you can make $1 million, we could do that. But do not lie. Now is not the time. Queen's not there for that.
All right.
The other ones, soldier, peacemaker, they're there for it. They're great for affirmations. Priestess is not that good because you don't have, the energy is not outwardly driven in peacemaker. It's about
resting, yeah.
It's receiving, and you will receive such sumptuous messages about your greatness always when you allow yourself to be receptive. And so then affirmations become unuseful. I can't think of the word, but they're it's like a knife to a gunfight. Like, why? They're useless because the phase, if you're leaning into the phase as it is meant to be used, it's so powerful that it's doing the work for you. You would not be able to divine an affirmation as beautiful as what you will receive in priestess phase.
Yeah, people around us learn from what we do, not from what we say. So if you are a parent and you are believing that no te lo mereces, you're teaching your kids que no se lo merecen. If you are like the eldest daughter of immigrant parents, you're teaching your younger siblings that. So it starts with you, and you are worthy because every single one of us is worthy. You don't have to go get a 6-figure paying job, a degree to be worthy. You're just worthy as you are. And it's the people who end up landing the opportunities that they want isn't because they've done more than you. It's simply because they believe that they deserve it. So knowing that just like the people in your life that you love and you know that they deserve it, how can you give yourself that same compassion and that same love? Because when you are telling yourself that you don't deserve it, you're giving everyone else the message that they don't deserve it either. And that's not the message that I think anybody listening to this wants to spread.
Yeah.
So you are, just by literally being here on this planet, you are worthy of having everything that you desire. And when you have everything that you desire and you believe in your worthiness, you're helping everybody around you also reach theirs.
Bueno, creo que todos tenemos muchas inseguridades, muchos fantasmas en nuestra cabeza que nos impiden tal vez sacar todo nuestro potencial. Y creo que todo eso viene de nuestro aprendizaje, ¿no? Por ejemplo, si tuviste malas experiencias con algunas personas y pues como que te van haciendo chiquita o chiquito, bueno, creo que todo esto nos va impulsando, ¿no? Yo lo que recomendaría es justamente que dejes atrás lo que dicen los demás de ti, siempre. O sea, yo sé que no es fácil y que no es un trabajo de un día, sino que tienes que irlo pues construyendo poco a poco. Me perdí un poco. Bueno, pero es que es demasiado lo que tienes que hacer. No es, te digo, no es algo que vayas a cambiar de la noche a la mañana, sino simplemente que hagas lo que a ti te hace feliz. O sea, estamos en el 2023, en el año en el que salió la película de Barbie y que tiene un mensaje súper importante, ¿no? Y sí, la vida es súper corta como para estar tratando de complacer a los demás o haciendo algo para otras personas, ¿no? Si tú quieres aprender a bailar así seas malísima, pues a lo mejor no vas a ser campeona mundial, pero pues te va a gustar y lo vas a disfrutar y te va a hacer feliz. Y pues si eres feliz, es lo importante, ¿no? No vinimos a sufrir. O sea, la vida a veces es dura, sí, pero pues hay que tratar de sacarle el jugo y pues aprovechar esos momentos y esas cosas que nos hacen felices, ¿no? Si quieres empezar un negocio, por ejemplo, yo a veces me pongo a pensar, bueno, ahora que tengo el código FIT, que es mi negocio, y te digo, yo mucho tiempo lo estuve meditando de, lo haré, no lo haré, es que, ¿qué van a decir mis conocidos? Me van a
Sí.
criticar. Ahora me pregunto, ¿qué hubiera pasado si no lo hubiera hecho, no? Realmente yo
Sí.
estoy súper contenta, estoy súper orgullosa y lo puedo decir. Muchas veces como que nos dicen que reprimamos esto, ¿no? Que si tienes algún logro, no lo grites, ¿no?
No.
Ok, sino que al contrario, o sea, si lograste bajar 1 kilo, si lograste hacer tu emprendimiento, que lo disfrutes, que lo
Sí.
grites, porque no cualquiera es capaz de hacerlo, pero el primer paso es empezar, ¿no? O
Sí.
sea, eso es lo que va a cambiar tu vida, empezar o no empezar. Es como la dieta, el ejercicio, lo que tú quieras. Puedes
Sí.
ser una persona completamente diferente en 3 meses si decides hacerlo, ¿no? O sea, siempre, si no siempre te vas a preguntar qué hubiera pasado si lo hubiera hecho.